Hello and welcome to our show, 60 Seconds with Sergio. I am your host, Sergio Cabanas, attorney at law here in Florida. Thank you for joining me today. Today's question is, Sergio, what exactly is a final hearing in a divorce case in Florida, and how does that process really work? Well, in order to finalize your divorce case after a settlement agreement, judges require that at least one of the spouses, usually the party filing the divorce, attend a simple court proceeding known as a final hearing. If any of the spouses is seeking to change his or her name, that spouse is also required to attend the hearing. This important hearing allows the judge to review the legal documents in your case, including, most importantly, the marital settlement agreement, to decide whether the divorce is legally eligible for a final judgment. The final judgment is an important legal document that the judge signs that formally and officially terminates the marriage once and for all, and it incorporates all the terms and conditions of your settlement agreement so that it becomes legally enforceable thereafter. This is the final step of the divorce process. The final hearing itself usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes. However, the judge would likely hold your hearing within the same block of time as other cases. So while your actual hearing may only take 10 minutes, you may have to wait until your case is called, which could take more than an hour, depending on the number of cases on the judge's schedule that day. So please be sure to give yourself plenty of time to attend this hearing. Here are a few other tips on preparing for that final hearing to make sure your case goes as smoothly as possible. First, I suggest you should wear proper attire. By that, I don't mean you have to necessarily show up with a suit and tie. It just means that you should be appropriately dressed, not wearing a t-shirt and shorts or sandals. While this simple proceeding should normally take only a few minutes, it's still a formal hearing before a judge in a court of law. So I suggest you should dress properly. Conservative dress or business casual attire is preferred. The last thing you want to do is make a judge angry at you simply because they don't think you're dressing in an appropriate, respectful manner. Secondly, I would be careful with using cellular phones and personal devices in court. Please be sure all your personal devices are turned off while you're in the courtroom to avoid interrupting the court proceedings. Next, always try to bring your Florida driver's license or some other type of government-issued identification. This will help confirm your identity and prove your residency in the state of Florida for a minimum of 6 months prior to the filing of the divorce. Please make sure your identification shows that it was issued on a date that is at least 6 months prior to the filing of the divorce. If not, speak to your attorney as soon as possible before the hearing about obtaining alternate forms of identification or an affidavit from corroborating witnesses. You should also be sure to review carefully your notice of hearing and be punctual. It is important to be on time for this court proceeding. Most of these hearings are held in person at the courthouse, but some judges are holding them through Zoom as a result of the pandemic. Either way, try to be there early if you can. You should carefully review your notice of hearing that your attorney provided to ensure you have the correct date and time and address of the courthouse if you're attending in person. If you're attending in person, you should bring this notice of hearing with you in the event you need any assistance in finding the courtroom. You should also allow yourself additional time to find parking and to go through security to gain access to the courtroom where you'll be meeting with your attorney prior to the hearing. If any unforeseen emergency arises that affects your ability to arrive on time, please contact your attorney's office as soon as possible. If your case is called before you arrive, your attorney can explain the situation to the judge, and most judges will agree to call your case later. That should give you more time to arrive, and if you're still not able to arrive at your hearing, then it could be rescheduled for a later date. Now let's talk about the legal documents you should have. Your attorney will have copies of important legal documents such as the marital settlement agreement and other documents as needed to show that the parties have reached a voluntary agreement and all of the paperwork is in order for the judge to approve and sign off. As your hearing concludes successfully, your attorney will provide the judge with the proposed final judgment that will incorporate all the terms and conditions of your settlement agreement. This final judgment will then be signed and stamped by the judge. You will be officially and legally divorced as of the moment the final judgment is signed by the judge. You could also take advantage of the fact that you're already in the courthouse to obtain a certified copy of the final judgment at the clerk's office so that you have it for reference and future use for other issues if you need it down the line. Finally, if you're interested in learning more about this final hearing process, including questions that most judges or attorneys ask at this hearing, be sure to tune in to my other videos which addresses all of these questions. I hope this short video provided you with some general guidance about the final hearing process in a divorce case. Again, this video is not intended to be a substitute for an actual consultation with an experienced attorney who can review the specific facts of your case and guide you through the process adequately. Thank you again for joining me today, and as always, stay informed so you can stay strong.